trying to reach everyone, and we want to create positive light, impactful light, and something fun to listen to.
We don't know all the answers, but we want to be the best versions of ourselves, right? We want to help other dads out there become the best versions of themselves. And building that community means going on that journey together.
Go time.
We're doing it. All right. Well, ladies and gents, it is our pleasure to welcome you to the No Days Off pod by Dad Season. We got a few great things on the docket today, but you know what? Why don't we kick it off with some introductions?
I think the best way to start this is what I do with my youth sports teams. So we sit in a circle. We try to have everyone pay attention, which if anyone has ever coached youth sports, you know that is always a challenge. There's a lot of cartwheels. There's a lot of craziness, but we always start with name, age, school, and your favorite food. Now I'm going to switch it up. We're going to do name. You can say your age. We can keep that in there. We got an old vet in here, so we'll say that. It's not who you think it is, but he did just gasp. You can say kids' names, wife's name, and then let's just say like favorite athletic activity that you have done in the last week or that you did with your kids. So to give y'all a little overview, I'll start. Nick Foles here. Just turned 36. 3 kiddos at home. Lily's 7, Duke is 4, and Bodie is 2. And they are a lot of fun and a lot of craziness. My wife is Tori. She holds down the fort. And favorite athletic activity I've done in the last week. I played a little pickleball the other day and then, got to, help coach my daughter's youth basketball team. So I did get up a couple shots pregame. So I count that as a little activity right there. So I'm going to throw this over to John in the studio.
All right. Here we go. My name is John McCarthy. Since we're talking age, I guess I got to let the cat out of the bag. I am 40. But I'm a strong 40.
You look great, and that hair looks amazing.
I'm a vibrant 40. I have 2 kids. Jack is 3, and Romy is 9 months. I probably had to think about that for a little too long. I am not a professional athlete, nor was I ever, maybe in my dreams. So you might be wondering why I'm here. But I'm very good friends with Nick. I'm great friends with Pat. I'm helping with some content for the Dad Season squad. And it's just a true honor to help share this story and build this community. So my favorite athletic thing that I've done recently is your boy's training for an MMA fight. So it's true. And Pat, I don't know if you knew this. Yeah, maybe I told you. Yeah.
I think when I saw you in California, you had a shiner.
That's right.
I asked if something was going on at home.
That's right. Hey, that's part of it.
Yeah.
I'll be stepping into the octagon at the end of May. You got to test it from time to time.
Yeah.
See where you're at.
Yeah, you and our producer Roddy are getting after it.
That's
these
right.
are some epic workouts that you are doing. I know we're doing the intros, but tell us a little bit about what goes into this.
So mixed martial arts. It's everything from stand-up, kickboxing, traditional boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. And my ground game's not everything I need it to be, so I'm really kind of a stand and bang guy. So I'm working on my combos, working on my defense.
Yeah, you are.
Honestly?
Yes.
Yes, I am. Honestly, I'm. It's a learning curve. It's a high stakes game of chess where everything has a lot of consequences. You get taken down. Now all of a sudden you got to relax. You got to think about what they're going to do to you. You got to figure out how you're going to counter. And at the end of the day, it's just an unbelievable workout.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Just hearing about you and Roddy talk about it, it sounds insane. Y'all both look great.
Right.
But there's been some shiners. There's been a couple things, but you know what? Knowing you like these aggressive, challenging feats that,
right.
and you get to embark on it with your buddy.
Love that.
So it's exciting. We'll get into that a lot. And,
We will.
We got our boy in Florida,
Patty the Patty.
Give us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Pat, check him in here. I am Pat O'Donnell. Just finished up my 11th year in the NFL. 33-year-old man now, about to be 34 next month. I got a 4-year-old daughter, 2.5-year-old son, and a 5-month-old son. So we're in grind mode over here. My middle son woke up at 4 a.m., so I thought today was going to be a great day. I was going to sleep in, get the podcast rolling, but nope. Well, we're going to push through anyway.
Welcome to Dad
My favorite
Season.
activity, Dad Season just never stops. That's why we started the brand. Right? That's why we started it. Keep you on your toes. My favorite activity, I'm going to go with, we do this thing on Sunday. We do obstacle courses with some other dads in my neighborhood. So all the kids kind of hang out, like to do some competitive things. And my 4-year-old daughter is trying to step up when challenging 6-year-old guys. Like, how fast can she run through the obstacle course? But I would like to proudly say that I do work out with my wife. Shout out to Burn Boot Camp. We hit that probably about 2-3 times a week. And it is for men too. Okay, I know it's geared towards women, but I'm not afraid to say it.
You know, that's a relationship hack right there. The couple that plays together stays together. That's what they say.
No, they do say
You
like
know what? I learned that from Nick.
Yeah. Nick's good at that.
I will say this. I mean, working out with your wife, I mean, a lot of guys get scared of it. I mean, I do the Burn Boot Camp too from time to time. There's killer workouts. Those ladies get after it, mainly women, but there are guys in there that are getting after it. Great energy, great camaraderie. And I think the attraction just is continued to be amplified when you're working out with your wife. You know, I think there was some study I remember reading back when, but like when you're like working out with your wife, there's like endorphins and all this. So
Totally.
not that I need it, but
No.
you know, marriage and all the things that go with it. I mean, you want to keep it vibrant.
Absolutely.
So
Let
yeah,
nature take its course.
Hey,
We're out there
we're
working out.
starting out hot right here. I didn't know we were gonna go this direction, so that's good.
I had that same thing though, Pat. This morning, my son's just in my face like this, like, "Wake up, daddy! Wake up, daddy!" I'm like, "What time is it? Why is it like that?" But you know, it's all good.
What age did that start? 'Cause my daughter is 4, and she can get out of her bed. Obviously, we transition from the crib to the bed. And that's been the hardest part, I think, because usually you have a start time and an end time. Put them down whenever I walk to the bed, get her out.
100%.
Now, it's whenever she wants to walk. You hear little footsteps running.
That's it.
Is it a burglar? No. Get your daughter under across the
But you
floor.
gotta
in the
stay
middle of the
ready.
Palmer just wants you to always be ready, keep you on your toes.
I mean, the second they
Okay.
get out of their crib or they can climb out, it's on. It's on.
It becomes real. Bodie just did this. Our 2-year-old just did this the other day. He's in a sleep sack, and in the morning, you know, Duke and Lily are sharing a room right now. So I usually get up, you know, 6:15, and they're up shortly after. I try to get a little bit of reading, a little bit of journaling in just before the day starts. Try to get my heart right to be the best person I can be. I need that time. And then all of a sudden, Bodie's just like running upstairs, like in his sleep sack out of his crib. So then I go to our Nest camera, and he had figured out how to get himself out of the crib,
Wow.
which is not fun because then there's stairs and you're in a sleep sack. So we figured out a way to, you know, keep him in there. But, you know, we just want him to sleep. We want him to grow.
I mean, honestly,
Can
sleep
I
is
ask you
great
a
for 'em.
question? Can I ask you a question? Is it bad if you lock your kid in their own room?
Okay, this is a huge question.
I've had somebody tell me that's what they do with their son, and he's 3. And I didn't know if that was some borderline dangerous. I
mean-
didn't know.
We're covering some big ground here. This is a hot topic.
Yeah, I think I'm going to speak from personal experience. And, you know, every parent has their own way of doing that. You know, on this podcast, we're going to talk about our life experiences through career, through fatherhood, through being high-functioning individuals, aspiring to be high-functioning, healthy individuals. You know, our goal is to hit all these topics. And that's my way of saying, and what I've done, I've never locked them in their room, even though in your mind you want to. Because I think the big thing, too, is when they come to you in the night, obviously it's not ideal. It's tough, but you're a parent and you got to remember that. And you just try to have a conversation with them and you got to settle them down. Because you know that, you know, part of the dad season brand, like the reason everyone always asks, like, why is it season? And I'm like, well, there's different seasons of life. There's different seasons of careers. And people, oh, I don't like hearing that. It's like, no, but that's like the reality of the situation is, you know, even with our daughter Lily, like there was the newborn season, then the toddler season, and now she's about to be 7. Like she's just growing up so fast. Like life has these seasons. And so that being said, I try to remind myself to really embrace it. Like you'll be frustrated at times, you'll be tired, you'll be exhausted, but those moments with your kids when they're struggling or they're scared or they don't know the time, and you just sit there with them, you have a conversation with them. Sometimes you got to read a book and you set them down to go to sleep. Like, you know, you just got to make them feel comfortable. And it's not always easy. And am I always in the best mood when that happens? No, but I really aspire to do those things. So that's my long-winded answer to say each parent has their own way to parent. I've never done that. So Pat, I don't know if I'd recommend doing that, but you know, I'll see what.
Now I'm gonna look like a real a-hole.
But that's just me. Let's see what John has to
No
say.
one's getting judged here.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it as a last resort because okay, so this is hard, and when somebody first told me that they locked their kid in the room, I was mortified, and I was like, "There's no way, like I could never do that." But once Jack started climbing out of his crib and he wouldn't sleep, and then he wouldn't let us sleep, and he'd just be running around. We recognize that this kid needs to sleep. Like, sleep is the best medicine for him. He's just starting school. He's going through a lot of transitions in his life. He has a new baby sister. So there was one night where I held the door handle, and I tried all the gentle parenting techniques. Hey, buddy, I'm just going to go ahead and offer you your bed again. Hey, buddy, can I walk you? Look at this bed. But it wouldn't take. Just the second I got up, boom. And this was going on for hours before I held the door handle, and he's freaking out. But 30 minutes later, he just passes out. And then he slept all night. And then he was a much better kid the next day. So we did put the lock on the door, and we've used it a few times, only in like the most like extreme situations. We've talked to doctors. It's like, okay, so what essentially happens is the room becomes the crib because they don't want to sleep in their bed. He transitioned to a big boy bed. He gets out too early. He recognizes he can't get out of the house. He just falls asleep somewhere in the room and then gets back to his crib. It sounds terrible as I'm saying it, but we found that this was a situation that we needed to try it out, and there we are.
You know what though? What I love that you said, and that's why I also preface it with saying each parent has their own way of doing it, and there's all these different trials, obstacles, ways of figuring out, because you're ultimately trying to do what's best for your kid, because they need sleep. And adults without sleep, I mean, There's so many sleep studies coming out or have been coming out. I know. Even back in 2013 in Philadelphia, when Chip Kelly's my head coach, we had the Stanford sleep specialist come and share with us all the sleep information of why we needed sleep, drinking alcohol, all the things, so we could be the best performing individuals. Well, kids are growing, and we all know when they don't sleep, the next day is usually rough. So that's where you said it best. Like, that was like a last resort. You tried everything else. You wanted it to work, and parenting is not a perfect thing.
Right.
But I think when you love your children, you're there, you're present, and you're giving them everything you can. That's what matters. So that's what I heard right there.
I mean, that's it. We basically had to reteach him how to sleep. It was like sleep training again, But man, it was tough. Me and Danielle were crying, looking at each other because he's so upset, but we are just thinking that maybe this is the only thing that we can do to help him, because we've tried. They sleep in our bed. We love having him sleep in our bed. It makes me feel so safe just on like a deep DNA level, knowing that my son is next to me. There's something primal about it, and I love that.
Yeah.
But co-sleeping every night just didn't necessarily work for our lives.
It's tough for the marriage too to have your children.
Yeah,
I mean,
what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. Everyone who's listening probably knows what I'm talking about. But
yeah. Okay, boys. So here's what we're gonna do. We got a few great things on the docket. We're gonna tease out the mission of the pod. We're gonna talk a bit about a few key points that we're gonna expand on in the future. But first, what we want to talk about are the origins of dad season. How did it start? Why did it start?
Take it, Pat.
That's a very good question, John. And I ask myself that daily. So honestly, it all started in 2023. And I called up a good friend, Nick Poles, and I said, hey, buddy, I know you always shoot me straight. I have this idea. I feel like I'm in dad season right now. I had this shirt that I was doing a philanthropy thing through the Green Bay Packers. It was a cancer foundation. I was like, it was around Father's Day. I said, let me put some dad season, slogans on a t-shirt. Let's give back for the dads of Green Bay. And then somebody messaged me through this company called Homage. It was their CEO. And he said, hey man, I really like what you're doing. Can I help you out with your t-shirts? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. I don't know the first thing about the apparel business or even trying to print on a t-shirt. So he printed these shirts out, great quality. Fast forward, I asked Nick, I said, hey, you think this could be a brand? And he said, I don't know. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe you could do something like that. And then now, 2024, Nick finally said yes to joining Dad Season. And we've expanded into hats, t-shirts, and now trying to build a community of dads on the same process, trying to have this podcast and encourage to be the best father that you can be. So I hope that painted a better picture of what dad season is going to be.
No, and it's always been something special. Like when you become a father, life changes. And I think people, it's a huge undertaking, but it's so special. I know when Lily was born, life was just already, we were very blessed, and through trials and tribulations and all the ups and downs, it's just, that's life, and you learn. And when we had Lily, is just like, the 2017 season, getting to have a daughter there and just go home after being at the facility and spend that time with her. It was the best thing in my life. I always wanted a kid while I was playing, just to, have those experiences. And, God blessed me with 3 while I was playing. And then, when Pat was talking about this dad season brand, I mean, I was like, hey man, I'm just finishing playing. I'll wear the shirt. I got a pickleball thing coming up, playing in a little tournament. We even made like pickleball shirts that I wore just to, we're like, hey, we'll do apparel. We'll see what it is. I'll help you with that side. And then, as Pat said, in 2024, him and I came together. I was like, you know what, my heart's in a good position. I gave myself a year post NFL career just to like go through the emotions, be a dad, be with Tori, transition back to California. I'm ready to roll. Let's figure out this dad season thing. I was like, but the first thing is like, let's figure out hats. I love hats. Like, I've always worn hats. Let's like figure out how to make hats. And, it's so funny. I look back to our first iteration of hats, and we were just like printing like anyone else, like a logo on like one of those websites where you're like printing a hat and you get the hat. And the first time we saw him, we were on vacation together because we wanted to shoot content. We've never really done this. We wanted to learn content. And we're like, these hats are so cool. They're so cool. But they weren't our hats. They were just printed on other hats. And looking back at them now, we're like, dang, these hats aren't that great. These are not great hats. But it was fun because it was the first time we saw our logo on a hat. And then, we were fortunate to, eventually meet our hat guy, Scott, who we work with. And, we took the initiative to fly to him in Denver. And we spent a whole day there. And Pat flew from Florida. I flew from California. And we designed, our first hats that came out last year. And that was a really fun process. Scott's been great to work with for us, just to develop hats. And, throughout the rest of 2024, we, developed hats. We, working on hoodies, shirts, and then we have a Philly dad line, a Philly line, just because I love Philadelphia. That's always been home to me, like just as a player. Love the city, really resonate with the city. So we wanted to do something special for it. So we did the Philly dad line, which, has been great. There's a lot of dads out there wearing it, sporting it, proud. And then, we're working towards this You Want Philly line because we always want to do something special in Philly. But we want dads everywhere. We want dads abroad, so that's why we're developing. The original thing, like Pat said, was, a podcast. And we thought about it, and we're like, you know what? Like, that would be great someday, but, like, let's work on the brand. Let's figure out the brand. Let's figure out the apparel, and then we'll figure out the heartbeat of it as we go, because we want to be intentional. We want to be impactful. So it's really cool to be sitting here doing this introduction episode, because this was actually the first thought that we had, but we wanted to create a brand that was impactful that guys were wearing, and now we get to talk about it, but we get to talk about these topics while having stuff. So like when you see us wearing our gear, I wear it all the time. You might see this hoodie. I cut the sleeves. I pulled the Belichick in honor of him. I got to play him in the Super Bowl. So I always thought, man, I know everyone said like, man, a cut off hoodie, like with the cut sleeves, I'm telling you, is one of the most comfy things to wear. It's one of the most comfy things to work out in. I do have my full hoodie, and I will wear my full hoodie. So I'm sorry that I cut our own hoodie on the screen, but it's been a lot of fun. I think the key too is we're truly small. It's Pat, myself, Tori, Shelby. We got John and Roddy, and we got a few others that have been really helpful. And it's been really fun because we want to be really intentional. We always want to give back. We want to be impactful. So we hope that this podcast, there's like little nuggets in here that someone listens to that need, they hear something. Like maybe it's like, oh man, I thought I was the only one where my kids were waking up, getting out of bed during the night, and these guys are talking about it. That's what we want. We want this thing to have a heartbeat. We want it to grow, and it's just a fun journey. We really love the Dad Season brand. It really is us. I think some people don't think it is us. They're like, oh, y'all are just like wearing that stuff, but someone else is running. It's like, no, we're trying to figure this thing out. Are we perfect? No. But we're really every single day trying to be intentional and trying to do the best we can, and that's the goal.
Beautiful. And we got No Days Off is the tagline under Dad Season. We got the No Days Off podcast. What is No Days Off? What does that mean to you guys?
So I'll tell a quick story. Like when I was actually trying to figure out what Dad Season was, I had a tragic moment in my NFL career. I was sitting there last day of cuts kind of thing. I had played 9 years straight without a hiccup. And I get that dreaded phone call like, hey, we're going to go young. We're just going to go in a different direction. Like, thank you for everything. And I'm sitting at a park. I'm like with the kids, and like Shelby, my wife's across the way. And I'm like, how am I about to tell them, like, we're about to move out of Green Bay, go back home to Florida, try to figure out life. If I'm playing again, I'm going to get picked up. And I feel like that's essentially what no days off is. It's like there's no days off. Like your kid, as soon as I hung up the phone, they're like, "Daddy, come play with me." And I just wanted to be like, I need 5 minutes, and I just wanted to have 5 minutes, but I felt like I just needed to be there, and that really helped me. I just told her real quick, like, "Hey, can go in a different direction," and I feel like that's what this brand is. It's about being real, like in hard moments. I know they see, "Oh, you guys are NFL players. It's great. You guys have a couple kids," but we're going to talk about like the good stuff and also the bad stuff. So I think that's what No Days Off is to me.
No, it's such a good slogan. I mean, Pat, you and I have been walking through this journey since we met in 2020, being a part of the Bears, and that's where we developed this friendship. And Shelby and Tori developed a wonderful friendship, and we have the dad season text thread going on with all the different ideas and things. And you know, you really want a special team when you build something. And then the No Days Off. I mean, we hear that slogan. I mean, being athletes, doing whatever you do, you hear no days off, no days off. And I'll tell you this: like when you're an athlete and stuff, like the best thing you can do is take an off day. Like you got to take an off day. Like there's no such thing as no days off. So I'm with everyone, and when you're like, oh, there's no such thing. It's like when you're an athlete, one of the best things you can do is take a breath, recover, let your body and mind recover, so you can be the best you can be. I mean, that was always Friday night for me as a player. Like that would be my off time with my wife recovering. But like Pat said, with kids and being a parent, there really is no days off. And you might be out there in a different season where your kids are empty nesters and you're like, I have a lot of off days. I'm playing golf. I'm working. I'm doing this. I'm volunteering here. I'm volunteering at my church. But at any time you can get that call from your kid. I know in college I was calling my mom and dad all the time with advice for life. Like, what do I do? And then, oh man, I need to buy this for school. Like it costs this. Like I'm having to like always reach out to them. And to this day, I call my parents, I call my dad, and I'm like, hey, can you give me some advice to this? He's 78, so like, and he's got so much wisdom, and I'm very fortunate that he's around. I love him to death, and my mom, both of them are amazing, but like, they don't have an off day. They're helping raise my niece with my sister, and it's just a beautiful thing watching them do that. But the No Days Off has a lot of meaning, and I know we're working on a No Days Off by Dad season line, because it's an awesome slogan, but at the same time, we really resonate with it, and John, we want you to answer. What do you feel when you hear No Days Off?
You know what? It's funny. I was just thinking, you guys know Louis C.K., the comic? He's got some great material about parenting, and he says parenting in parenting, you want to find all the mini vacations. And essentially the examples he offers is like you put your kid down in the car seat, you take a little bit longer to walk to the driver's seat.
you take that deep breath.
And you just deep breath, and it's real because it's like that. Like there are no days off. There are no minutes off when you're with them, and it can be mentally draining. As a dad, it can feel isolating at times.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be the rock, provider, everything, and it can feel lonely. And I think a lot of men sometimes aren't always prepared to be vulnerable and admit when they need help or seek out the guidance that they might need. And I don't think there are a lot of brands that make being a dad cool, or that you could wear it with pride, and that that when you put that hat on, you're standing for something more than just wearing like whatever shirt you're wearing.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been a huge believer in this brand since day one, because it's actually scratching my own itch of what I need.
Yeah.
I was one of the last of my friends to have kids, so I'm fortunate in that. But in the day-to-day life, I don't see them that often, and most of the people that I'm around are in different phases of either fatherhood or not having kids or whatever. So anytime you can build a community for dads, I think it's a beautiful thing, because better men equal better families equal better worlds. Happier partners, happy relationships, just the trickle-down effect of that can change the world. It really can.
You're so true.
And so to be a part of building something like that is really meaningful to me. I know it's really meaningful to Roddy, and we're just so stoked to be here. And so, to that point, my other question I was going to ask was, when people put on this dad season merch, what do you want them to feel?
Yeah, I think I know the big thing when we did this was specifically with the hats. They're custom hats. So like we've customized it. They're the dad season hats. We've been asked by former teammates, coaches, people that are wearing our merch, like, oh, what hat are you printing on? Because like, we were looking down that route and we're like, you know what? Like, let's create our own hat. We have an idea. I love hats. So we wanted to create affordable, high quality hats that people love wearing and they're comfortable. And that's been a lot, a big thing with our hats is, we wanted to we have the medium large size, which is really a one size fits all. But then I'm like, man, I really cannot fit in a one size fits all hat. Like as much as it said, I'm like the extra, so I got a big head. I'm trying to fill it with knowledge. I still have a lot of space to fill, but we created a larger size too. And then, the comfort with the headbands and, some of them are flex fits. The one I'm wearing right now is our new Hydro hat in green, and it has a performance headband because there's a lot of hats that, Pat and I wear. Pat's wearing Hydro red. We want to be able to work out in it. We want to be able to train in it. We want to be able to play golf in it. We want to be able to play with our kids, but we want to be comfortable and we want to be able to deal with sweat and water. Not all of our hats deal with water. That is a lifestyle hat that John is wearing. That is something you wear when you look as cool as him. So I don't wear it. I'm wearing the performance hat, but and then Pat, I'll let you reach out or talk about the other stuff.
No, to John's point, I think it's creating that community, right? When you put it on, you got people behind you that they got your back. And that's why I think we started this podcast, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it and have guests on and have them drop knowledge on us, because I wouldn't say we have it all figured out. I love the fact that John's a step above me and his journey as a father and his stories that we were sharing off air. I think that's great. I think this is what we're trying to build. And it's cool that there are two NFL dads, and we will talk about what it's like to have a family, move them city to city. Do you jump schools? Do you leave them back at home, where they're comfortable, or do you let them experience a little bit of a different culture? But I think if we could just keep growing this brand, it's just the sky's the limit, not just for me and Nick as the founders of this thing, but for everybody just to keep elevating their game. I know it's been well received in the locker room, and I think all the guys are really excited about what we're doing.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's such a great point. I think in terms of what this podcast is going to bring about, we're going to have a lot of fun with the format. We're going to have guests at times, different experts, Nick, Pat, you guys sharing your journey as professional athletes. We might have the wives come in.
No doubt. The wives will be a part of this. I already got mom season merch behind me. So yep. The mom season merch was designed, by, Tori and Shelby really spearheaded that. And there's a lot of love in these hats that they did. They're probably a little bit more artistic than Pat and I's hats. But you know what? The ladies love them, and the women really do an amazing job holding down the fort. And it's just we're very fortunate to have all of us, amazing wives that really allow us to do what we do.
Yeah, and we're on a journey to figure it out together. Pat, to your point, we don't know all the answers, but we want to be the best versions of ourselves, right? We want to help other dads out there become the best versions of themselves. And building that community means going on that journey together, So every day, let's just try to get better, and let's try to help other people get better. And I think that's a pretty awesome mission.
I think it's an amazing mission. Should we talk a little bit about the application of things we're going to go through on this thing? I know we were talking beforehand. It's let's shed a little light about some topics that we're going to hit, and then just each of us say a quick tidbit about it, and we'll go. And, we'll start with Pat over there. Pat, one of the topics that we're going to talk about is, balancing fatherhood and fitness. And I'll tell you this, Pat is a, 11-year punter and holder in the NFL, amazing teammate, amazing dad, awesome person, freak athlete. And I say freak athlete, he's a punter, very, very flexible, but he's way faster than I am. This guy is can fly, can run, amazing golfer, all these different things. But how do you balance fatherhood and fitness?
I think it's becoming more challenging, as you grow to your family. We just had our 5-month-old son join us. And as soon as we get the 2 kids off to school, then you're still dealing with one at home. And I think that's why me and Shelby try to do Burn Boot Camp. I make fun of it, it's a female geared fitness class, but they have childcare and somebody could watch them for an hour. And I don't feel guilty, even in off season. It's January. I probably should be taking it slow right now, but I love working out and just moving the body and doing, either Pilates with her, Burn Boot Camp, some fun stuff. But I think it's so important that you do carve out that time, because if you're not right as a father, you're going to reflect your negative energy as soon as they come in the door, 3-4 o'clock. You're just man, did I accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, for me personally? And I know that's selfish, but I think you have to do that. If you don't do that, no one else is going to look out for you. And I think they just feed off that. So if you take care of yourself, the rest of the family will benefit from it.
No, that's so true, dude. And how often is she lifting heavier weights than you at Burn?
Shelby's at one mom in the class, like even if it's timed, like she'll go at her own speed. She has like a no judgment.
Yeah.
Like I'm more like I gotta lift probably the heaviest thing in here because all the women or guys that are looking around like you play football, you should be lifting.
I know.
Like,
They're like, you
hundreds
need to
every
lift the
time.
heaviest. They get on me. I'm like, listen, I'm just trying to get a good workout in. They're great though. Their energy at Burn is awesome. But
I think
no,
it's the rest factor because sometimes like when we squat or bench or do whatever, like we have like probably like 3 to 5 minutes sometimes just hang out. They are nonstop.
no, they roll.
They just go.
It's a great workout. They only got a certain amount of time. They gotta get it in, and they get it in.
And now I understand what it's like to be on the time clock, like when you have kids. And I know why dads wake up at 5:30.
Yeah.
When I was a single guy, like I was dating Shelby, I'm like, why do you guys wake up at 5 o'clock?
100%.
Like the guys that, the NFL group of guys that work out and get it done by 6:30. I'm like, what are you gonna do with the rest of your day? Like I kind of want to drag it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe have lunch at 12 and.
You can't
But now
fully
I get it.
appreciate how much time you had back then. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, what did we
Like,
do at the
dude,
time?
I ask that all
We
the
talk
time. to
about
Danielle.
Tori and I talk about it all the time. Like, what did we do?
What did we do? Crazy. But
Dad
that's so
hours,
true. I
man.
mean, it feels selfish to carve out that time because it's hard. And like somebody's got to take a hit, right? Like if you need to go work out and it's not the nap time for the kids and the wife has to take a hit and that sucks and you have to work out that balance and that can be hard. But it's so important. It's so critical. And so
I think what Nick and Tori do, I know you're about to jump into the next thing, but you do that, walk run thing together.
Oh,
like
yeah.
even just before date night, if it's like 30 minutes. I know that's probably embarrassing for
No,
you.
no.
but
I
it's
feel
great.
like you just set me up. I feel like I got to share this hack.
let's go.
All right, and I'm gonna get to number 2 with you in a second. But what Pat's talking about is like Pat was out here. He finished his season with the 49ers, and he came down to Southern California, and we did a content day. A lot of the photos that Pat and I, John and Roddy shot for us, and we, golf in the studio, all that good stuff. But Pat stayed with us for 2 nights, and Tori and I introduced him to a little hack that we started. So on date nights, like when I was a player, and to this day, like I really like that time with my wife. I really try to aspire one day a week, but it doesn't always work out that way. But when we do, we're fortunate to have a couple amazing babysitters that are just love our kids and do such a great job, and our kids love them. But we have our babysitter get there a little earlier, like 45 minutes earlier, and Tori and I go on like a 35-minute interval run throughout the neighborhood, where it switches each time. It could be like a minute and a half on, a minute off, and we just go like 35 minutes. And we just, when we're running, we're running at a little bit faster pace than you usually would if you're just running because it's intervals. But what's great about it is it's something we're doing together. And then you get to talk a lot. So a lot of times we're, talking about life, we're talking about scheduling, we're talking about dad season, we're talking about our kids, and it's just a part of date night. So we do this workout, it's like 35 minutes, and then we go up, we shower, and we go out to eat, and we get to spend that time together. And for me, that's like a huge reset. And it's so much fun. It's something that Tori and I started doing that I just like one day I was like, she wanted to go on a run with me. I'm like, well, why don't we just do it before date night? And then you actually feel you're more hungry, you're ready to eat, you feel better about maybe occasionally overindulging on that steak or whatever it may be, but
And those endorphins are flowing, baby.
they are flowing. But Pat got to go on one of these runs with us, so it's a little hack out there that we like to call the little run before the dinner, and we really enjoyed it.
John, I was a third wheel. And it was like the guy with the watch on setting the pace, and he was like, "Run, stop," and Tori's like talking to me like the whole time. And I felt like Nick was just totally ignoring us. Like he was actually trying to work out. And I felt like I was just trying to keep up. I was wearing like, I don't know, some like New Balance dad shoes. And Nick has like his Hoka runners and his marathons in. And
Man,
I was like totally unprepared for the hills of California.
you a Hoka guy?
You know what? I wear size 16, so there's only a few shoes that I can wear in Hoka. If you're listening, if anyone at Hoka, keep making them.
Yeah.
Keep making them
comfy.
because I love the Hokas. You and I did a half marathon together,
Yeah.
and I was wearing Hokas, and I ran another one 8 weeks later. So the Hokas have been good to me. That might be like a good dad challenge down the road. We'll see.
Let's do it. We might have to.
So another topic we're going to talk about, I'm going to let John take this. So, nutrition hacks for busy dads. Like, share us like something that you're doing, just something simple. We'll dive into it deeper in a later episode, but what's a nutrition hack you do?
So I think in all these topics, whether it's fitness, whether it's nutrition hacks, I think as a busy dad, and we're all in the thick of it, right? Like we're in the beast. consistency is better than perfection, right? So being good and like most of the time is better than, whatever I'm trying to say. So I think like when I think about balancing fitness and family, I think about compounding interest. When I think about nutrition and family, I think about compounding interest, making the right decisions most of the time and letting that just stack. And also recognizing that, sometimes having a slice of pizza with my son is also being present with him and enjoying that moment.
Super enjoyable.
And it's so good, especially if it's from Ark. Let's go.
Yes.
So I'm down for that. But, I think when things feel out of control and you feel like your diet's getting out of control, what I do is I just throw in an intermittent fast or maybe even an all-day fast.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Just like a reset. Just
100%.
like reset, get going. I'm the same way. No, that's good. And that's going to be a fun episode because I feel like that's also been a struggle, is like trying to find that, like, I hear about the 80-20 rule, and, it's really different from being a player, now being here, building a small business with the team and daddy and all that stuff. There's times where, I did a post on Instagram or a story. I'm learning this Instagram thing. And I was making mac and cheese, and I'm like, how many of y'all take a couple bites to make sure it's mac and cheese? I mean, the mac and cheese is going to be good. It's out of the box, right? Unless it's home. My wife will make some homemade ones, but I make it out of the box. Like, I just take a couple bites. That's compounding too. That's heading a little bit in that direction, but
it makes you happy too. And there's a lot of science out there to show like happiness is good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it'd be obviously amazing if everybody was mixing in an elimination diet and reducing their inflammation and just optimizing, because that's what we're into. When we're being we love biohacking. We love figuring out how we can get our bodies and our minds to optimize at the highest level. But just being realistic, and I mean, honestly, throughout everything, the words that always come in my mind is just grace, compassion for yourself, compassion for your partner, because your partner is going through all the same stuff. The identity shifts that you go through when you're a parent, the saying bye-bye to your life before and hello to this new life. And it's a crazy period of time, but then also perspective, because it's not going to last forever. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So there's that saying that you never know the last time you pick up your kid and hug him.
I know. That's so true.
That's an insane saying.
It's so true. I mean, that makes you really think. I mean, Duke was playing dress up, like when I say dress up, like Spider-Man outfits. I'm sure he'll get back to that too, but Lily would wear like an Elsa dress every day, and then it just stops. Yeah. And then like, when did it stop? And that's just where I almost get teary-eyed, because I'm like, man, like it does go quick. Like I look at pictures of Lily when she was Duke's age or Bodie's age, and I'm like, man, like Tori and I were just looking at some photos the other day. So now she's 7. She's like running around. She's got more personality. She's got more opinions. She's a sweetheart though. She's a great kid, and I love her. Her brothers are rascals, but I'm grateful for her. But it goes quick. You got to enjoy it.
Totally.
You still pick her up, Nick?
Yeah, I can pick her up, but man, she's got some muscle. Like she's strong. Like she can go.
No, I know that you're a physical specimen. I'm saying, like, does she say, like, Daddy, can you, like, pick me up the stairs, like, for bedtime?
No, I ain't doing that. No, I tell them to walk.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, Bodie, like, I would love to pick up Bodie, but now he's so opinionated. He wants to do everything himself, and he tells us exactly how he feels, and yes and no are, like, no's, like, his favorite thing right now. And it's funny, like, looking at their personalities, because it's just I think it's one of the most fun things about parenting, because you see part of yourself in them. And then we all been there where like they do something like, oh, and I like look at Tori, I'm like, that's you right there. And then like last night, Duke was like crazy. He had this like little watch that we got him like a year ago, and he wanted the charger. He wanted it like hooked up, and he wanted to wear it. And Tori looked at me and she's like, this is you with all your gadgets. She's like, this is you. But it's like funny. Like we laugh at each other, but it's cool to see that in our kids.
Totally. Super cool. How about you, Pat? What do you think? Or you know what? Let's jump to another topic, because we're probably just going to rifle these through, and maybe we don't even have to dive in so deep to all of these. Pat, are you at the youth sports phase yet?
We are not, but I'm trying to get my daughter into soccer. We're trying to find a league, and she kicks the ball around, which is actually crazy. Both Palmer and my son say, I think they just see me kick the ball, and they just want to do that. And that the most, comparable thing they could do is probably soccer. So I'm looking forward to that, but I am not at the phase that Nick is at when he's a T-ball coach, or I don't know if you're teaching your kids anything off the side, maybe surf lessons, but Nothing crazy.
Why has it got to be surf lessons?
I mean, that's the dream, right? That my dream is that
Is
my
it-
kid wants to surf, because then I'm like, oh, sorry, babe, Jack wants to surf, so we're gonna be at the beach all day. I mean, my wife loves the beach. My wife also is a great surfer, so that's super fun. But I'm not at that youth sports phase yet. Right now, I'm just trying to be like, nah, you can't. I don't know. I'm trying to reverse psychology him. You can't surf, no way. And then he's like, I want to surf.
And you're like, okay, let's
Yeah,
go.
all right, fine, let's go.
Which John can't surf. I was just laughing because the long flow, it looks like a surfer and is a surfer, so it
Yeah.
works.
It's working.
It's special. But the youth sports
But
phase,
I wish I was John. I wish I could surf. I wish I could do that.
oh, it'd be epic, man, to be
Dude.
out there like,
We can make it happen, Pat.
yeah, we can wear the hydro hats in the water.
There we go.
There we go. That's our
Listen,
next shoot.
We started that YouTube channel. We're gonna follow one badass dad. We're gonna start with John McCarthy.
Yes.
Super
We're gonna
ready.
get, we're gonna get some epic surfing content, some fighting content of him and Roddy going at it, getting at it. So it'll be fun.
You do not want to mess with Roddy, though. That's a disclaimer.
Yeah, Roddy's gonna get after you for sure. I mean,
Look, he can barely put that headphone in his ear because he's got cauliflower ear.
and those
We didn't
biceps
introduce
are
Roddy.
looking so good
Everyone's
right
like,
now,
who's this
man.
Roddy guy?
Oh,
We got a camera on Rod. We're gonna have to cut to that from time to time. There he is, folks.
Yeah, Rod's holding it down for us, making sure things are
H2O.
working. So, but I'll
All
take
right, next one. What you got?
Yeah, I got to use sports, man. I sort of got indoctrinated into this a year ago. When I left the NFL, we were here full time. Lily was starting to play flag football in kindergarten, and I would take Duke to practice, get him out of the house so Bodie would just be home, and I just wanted to watch practice. I really wasn't thinking I'd get into coaching right away, and I didn't know if Lily would want me to coach her. And then it was like the third or fourth practice of the season. They'd played a couple games. Lily comes running over to me as I'm laying there with Duke, like throwing him the football, and she's like, "Hey, Dad, like everyone wants you to come over here to teach us how to throw the football." So I'm like, all right, cool. So I go over there. We work with the girls how to throw the football. And then awesome coaches, awesome dads. And then afterwards they asked me to coach. I'm like, yeah, I would love to. I just didn't want to overstep my bounds. But, like, if I'm going to coach, we're not throwing the football. I was like, we're in kindergarten flag football. I don't think we should be throwing. Like, we can mess around with it. But, like, let's work on handoffs. Let's work on flag pulling. And let's just try to minimize these cartwheels. Like, that's the goal, is just minimize them, like, when they do a great play. So that was kindergarten. And then going into first grade, there was a new team because so many girls out here in California are just crushing flag football, and then they are epic. Like, watching these girls develop is really, really cool. There's some amazing football players out here. But so I was coaching first, second grade girls with one of my best buds, Alan, and my brother-in-law, Ryan. And our daughters are on the team, and we had a lot of fun. Fundamentals, games. I bring a little boom box, a little turtle box. Play Kids Bop. They love Taylor Swift. They love all the music. And
Kids Bop is.
If it gets out of control, though, I can control it from my watch and shut off the music and say, hey, like, y'all got to start listening, and then the music comes on. The music doesn't just stay on. That's just a luxury. And then now we're in the youth basketball season, which is a lot of fun because I was a big basketball player. And once again, I coach with both my brother-in-laws, Evan and Ryan, that I'm sure everyone will meet at some point on this show. And then right before this episode, I am a head coach for youth baseball, which is for Duke's first real sport. And I've never really been the parent that's on the email chain stuff. So I set up my first email chain with all the parents, and it seems like a great start, but there's a lot of questions, and me being a first time coach, I'm like trying to find all the answers, but it's really neat coaching all these kids because my philosophy is always like sports should be fun. Mm-hmm. Activities should be fun. But I want to mix fun with working hard in a great team environment. I want you to learn how to be a great teammate. I tell Lily all the time, we play basketball. I'm like, you know what? Like, it's great scoring a lot of points, but I want you to be great at defense, and I want you to be great at hustling and scrappy, but most importantly, be a great teammate. Cheer your teammates on. And then the offense and the showy stuff, like, that's always fun. I love scoring points and everything, but I wish someone would say just be great at defense first, because that's what really matters, and that's how you show you're a great team player. So I really enjoy the youth sports. There's definitely some challenges with it that we'll get into it. Navigating the specialization or ages. I know I get asked that question a lot. I've been on podcasts where they're like, when would you specialize? What would you do this? So I think that'll be a really fun episode that we might even have a guest on.
Love that. I think that's going to be great. Oh, man. There's so much stuff we're going to dive into this season of this pod, the No Days Off pod by Dad season. We're going to go into personal journeys and fatherhood in our careers, and I think the audience is going to learn a lot about hearing from you guys. I'm a filmmaker. I travel all the time. I've definitely got some challenges there as well. We're going to go into bonding through adventure and being present despite challenges. Is there anything you guys want to just mention off the cuff on any of those topics?
I think honestly we've covered a lot in the intro. We hope everyone enjoys listening to this. I think those topics, like, just know, like, with the engagement and the listeners, like, we want y'all to comment. We want questions. We want, hey, if there's something on your mind that you're going through as a parent and there's a challenge, maybe we can give some insight of our own journey, and maybe it's something you're struggling with, and we can be like, you know what, like, we're struggling with it too, and this is what we're trying to do to figure it out, or like, here's a mountaintop experience that we want to share. I think the big thing with any of these, and Pat alluded to it, you've talked about it, John, is like the community.
Yep.
The dad season community is more than this brand. It's just parents that are out there, either husband and wife, a dad, a mom, separate, single parents, or figuring it out together. Like, we're trying to reach everyone, and we want to create positive light, impactful light, and something fun to listen to. We want to also have fun.
Yep.
That being said, John, I know you've done some stand-up comedy.
That's right.
We want to keep it light in here. This is sort of a, Dad's No Days Off by Dad Season podcast, but can we just get like a dad joke off the cusp? Putting pressure on John. I just want a little dad joke.
Okay, boys, you ready? I just want to make sure you're ready.
We're ready.
I'm going to let the tension build.
It's building. I'm going to take a sip of.
When you wait, time out. But when you do stand up, everything's rehearsed, or some of it's off the cuff? Like if there's a heckler
you
in the crowd,
be
you
loose, you want to be loose, and your act is written, and you ideally have it down so that you can be free and have fun. And if someone's in the crowd, you engage with them a little bit. But even a lot of the crowd work, and Roddy knows more about this if he wants to go off mute, because Roddy is actually really up and coming. He's blowing up in Orange County.
That clip was nasty.
Yeah. Check out at Rod Padre. He's a dad in training. And as we're here building our community of unstoppable dads, Roddy is just soaking it all in for when the time is right.
I'm just waiting for this joke.
I'm just letting the tension keep
I
going.
don't even know who's going to say the joke. Is it you or Roddy?
Oh, I'm going to say it. Okay, boys. Why don't melons run away to get married?
I have no idea.
Because they can't elope.
That's like so corny it's good. That's like so corny it's good. Well, I think it's always good to end with a little laughter when you say.
That's it. We were rounding third, and we just did a Pete Rose slide into home with that dad joke.
Yes, we did.
We did it, boys.
We hope everyone has a wonderful day and enjoyed listening to the No Days Off by Dad Season podcast. See you next time.
Boom.